wanted to do on a Sunday night.
Oh, thank you.
We'll try not to do that, but it just happens sometimes. Every now and then. Every now and then.
It's warm, eh?
Oh, I know, it's hot. Oh my gosh. We're like, because we live with two other girls as well, we're like, we better set up like in Carla's bedroom. Yeah. And so the fan's not on, and like, so there's not much of a breeze. So it's like, if sweat starts dripping off our face, that's why. It's the dewy look. Yeah, it's the look we're after. Yeah. What's it like in London,
Guys,
Gareth?
please stop complaining about the weather, like being so hot.
I know. It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's like not even 10 degrees here. You know, it's like going to be 8 today. So just...
Okay, I'll stop complaining. Yeah, it's amazing now.
All right.
There we go. What is Andrew?
I was like,
You're weird,
I was like,
yeah.
I don't know if we can be friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point. And
Cool.
then you guys take it away wherever you want to go.
Yeah, well, no. Let's just we will
Qualify that.
no,
Qualify that.
we will like kind of lead it, obviously, but don't be afraid to kind of talk as much as you want about something.
Woohoo! That was awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
That was really great. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you
Brilliant.
guys.
All right.
Have great
And let's have a
night,
coffee
great
sometime,
day.
guys.
Yeah. So much
Yes.
fun.
All
Yeah,
right,
fun. Okay. Can't wait.
Thanks again.
Hey,
Bye.
take care. See you later.
See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
You know.
No,
Bye.
it was good. It was a nice chat. It was like very energetic, but at the same time, there was so much good stuff in it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
bud?
bud. Totally.
So much.
I was
good
thinking
stuff.
the same thing. Amazing, cool stuff there. Yeah.
No.
What's up, Chana?
Greg, how's it going, man? Nice to see your face again.
Nice to see you too. Welcome to the Ridiculously Human podcast.
Yeah, that sounds good to hear. Really good to hear. So, Craig, you're back from holiday. You had a nice break in Bali. How was it for you?
Had a great time. It's been a while coming to have a little bit of a break, to be honest. And but the dreaded Bali belly, as it's affectionately known as, it got me.
Wow.
And but it was a massive wake up call for me. Like, I'm so grateful that I generally feel like really well and healthy and full of energy. But I haven't been sick in ages, and I copped it so badly. My tummy was so bad, and the funny thing was I just felt mentally like clouded and tired and a bit down, you know. And I've read hundreds of books about the gut, brain, and all these kinds of pathways. But until you felt it, it's just incredible what a connection it is. Hey, and I must say it was. I felt really humbled, and I'm actually almost grateful because it brought me back down to earth, and I just felt really grateful for when I am feeling good, and it kind of made me have a renewed focus on wanting to look after my health a little bit more. So yeah, that was it. Does that make a bit of sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, and it's nice that I guess you took a positive aspect out of it, you know, and we must never take our health for granted, that's for sure. And I'm really glad that you're feeling better now, because I kind of felt that you were a little bit down in the dumps when you were away and we were just sort of chatting. So yeah, I mean, this week's podcast is a really great podcast, and we are storytellers, and we tell stories through the people that we speak to. And this chat this week is definitely a great story to hear. And often it's worthwhile having a listen to the full podcast, you know, and you know, obviously we hope everyone always does. But this one in particular, there's lots of things that come out during the chats and towards the end of the chats that are really, really valuable, and a lot of people are going to be able to relate to it. And I think that is part of storytelling. You know, people do get more comfortable over time and a bit more relaxed, and then they start sort of coming out with, with how they genuinely feel. So we're really looking forward to launching this podcast. It was with these really fantastic girls called the Merrymaker sisters, Emma and Carla, and they brought a crazy amount of energy, a crazy amount of fun, and they laughed a lot, and they just really enjoyed themselves, and it was such a cool chat for that reason. But you know, and then like we said, later on it sort of gets into some sort of real meaty stuff, which we really, really enjoyed, and we know you guys will too.
For sure. I think that's something that anyone that may be having one of those days that they're just a little bit flat, take a listen to this podcast, because Emma and Carla are just so much fun to be around and to listen to. But don't be fooled by their fun and happy exterior. They are switched on and sharp, run a really successful business, but have also been through a lot. And, you know, as we were discussing a bit of food and that kind of thing, and food health and that kind of thing, their business is around health and eating well, and they've been through their own troubles of struggling with eating disorders and body confidence issues. And we often find, you know, people tend to think it's only girls that have this, but it's actually really prevalent amongst men as well. And in terms of being obsessed with eating well and healthfully, to the point of it actually being really bad. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also interesting when you listen to their journey and the steps that they took to create new habits from an eating perspective as well as from a mindset perspective. And they started doing things like, you know, listening to podcasts and watching TED Talks and reading interesting books and listening to specific people. And it really is a great story to hear. And they've now built up this fantastic business, fantastic following, a really like tight-knit tribe of people that love to hear what they're saying. And they've got this amazing online business, which is also really, really interesting just to hear how it grew. And we know that you guys are going to enjoy listening to this, and we really can't wait to hear what your feedback is on it. And I think that now is a really good time to hear what it is like for Emma and Carla, the Merrymaker sisters, to be ridiculously human.
All right, here we are with Emma and Carla. Thank you so much for coming on all the way from the Gold Coast. How are you guys?
So good. Thank you so much for having us. We're super pumped.
Yeah, awesome. Likewise.
It's so, you know what's so funny, like when you say that, because Craig and I, we always say super pumped. And one of the other days, one of my friends, he was listening to it. He's actually from Germany. He's like, what do you mean? Why is everyone always super pumped? What does that mean? I'm just like, hey, bud, we've just been happy and positive. We're ready for the chat, you know?
Exactly.
So good.
So excited about life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For sure. So how are you guys? How's the day been?
Really, really good today. We started the day, we both got up really early, went for coffee and finished riding Pilates and yoga classes. Then I taught Pilates, and then like half an hour Carla taught yoga. So it was like we were at the yoga and Pilates studio for like 5 hours, and like by the time we got out, we're just like, whoa, like that was Sunday morning and an epic start to the day.
Wow.
And we were just starving then.
We hadn't eaten, so we went out for lunch / breakfast. Then we were like, let's get heaps of work done because we had the podcast tonight. So we're like, we'll get heaps of work done for a Sunday, blah, blah, blah. Got home, ended up just laying in the sun for 3 hours.
Yeah, we did no work, but it was fine. It was like, you know how you just need to stop and like listen to like what your body and mind is telling you to do, and it was definitely telling me not to do any work.
Yeah.
But we ended up just listening. We were listening to Oprah's podcast, and we love Oprah, so it's kind of like inspiration.
Yeah. Self-development.
Yeah.
It's working in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what we think.
So what was that? What was on Oprah's podcast today that was that got you guys interested?
Today we were listening to Reese Witherspoon and what's her name, Mindy
Kinley or something.
Yeah, the 2 actresses.
Cool.
But I listen to Oprah every week.
Yeah, she's like been our inspiration from the beginning.
I love her.
Like we watched her videos right at the start of our journey. We used to watch her show like as kids.
Yeah, but that was different back then. But like the whole like
I feel like
spiritual...
she's always been there.
I know, yeah. She's been part of our life. It's so funny. It's so random. But like I think like we really use her, and I guess like the content she shares like to connect to like the spiritual side of everything, because she just, I mean, it's Oprah, she interviews like amazing people, so it's like you have the best content, so it's just like boom, like and you instantly just connect to something bigger.
Yeah, that's so cool. I was in France over New Year's with some mates, and one of the guys we were there with, he was the vice principal at her school in South Africa. And and he's like met Oprah quite a few times and like been flown over to America to see her and all these sort of things. And he just, I mean, he loves her. He just says she's like the most amazing person, but just commands respect, you know what I mean, because of who she is and what she's achieved. But like a very powerful lady to be around, which is so cool.
Yeah. I love her.
Yeah, she's so inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our day.
Yeah, and now we're here.
Oh, beauty. So was that giving? Were you giving classes, or were you like filming it as well this morning?
No, we teach at a studio on the Gold Coast. So we both were teaching at the studio in real life. But filming videos, we do that all the time. Like I just filmed a video just before we recorded this, and then part of our new program which will come out later this year, we'll do other proper videos, which are more legit, which is really exciting because we've never done that before. Yeah, it's been so fun because like it's such a new thing for us to like, because we've always been into like the food and like recipe developing, and then Carla did a yoga teacher training earlier last year, and then I did my Pilates teacher training. And it was just like, you know, when you just like try something new and it's just like, boom, you know, you're meant to be, you know, you're in the right place, but we never planned anything. Like we never planned it, but it was like, just like unfolding, like, you know, right in front of us. And we're just like, it was like everything was connecting, and it was like, oh, we're going to do something amazing with this. So who knows what's coming, but it's going to be amazing.
Oh, that's cool. So you hadn't actually gone and studied Pilates and yoga with like an intent of like ending up there. This is just kind of flowed.
Yeah, I wanted to teach. You wanted to teach.
I love teaching. Like I always had an interest in like personal training and like Les Mills classes. Like I was always like, oh, I'd love to do that. And then
sweaty.
I know. I can feel it. I'm like, oh,
she's the sweaty one. She's the sweaty one.
It's just transformation from the inside out.
I get sweaty too.
That's what I say. But when we walked into the studio, this studio, Essence of Living, where we trained at, the first time I walked in there, I picked up the brochure for the teacher training and I looked through it and I was just like, I'm supposed to do this. This was a year prior to when I actually did the training. And then a year later, the dates came up and I was like, I need to do this. I really want to do it. Made it happen. I did it first. Emma saw like what transformations happened to me, which was like the main ones that Emma always likes to say is that I became a kinder human, which I think is a nice thing to say.
She became much nicer. And I think I never had the intent of teaching. I actually did the course because I was going through a breakup and I was like, man, I need to get out of this like funk that I was in. I need to like take my focus off everything. And it was like kind of just like jump right into something else. And I saw the transformation with Carla and I was like, well, the Pilates will be something like that. And like, I am so thankful and grateful I made that decision because it was, I don't know, it's changed the whole direction of my life and our business. So both of our lives. So it's just like, these things just happen for reasons. And like, I'm just so grateful. Changed my life.
And when you say
really
like you're going to move to some more like formal videos, what are you actually getting someone in to help you guys with your
Yes. So we're doing when we saw like, or when we experienced the changes that we can and we continue to experience them, like every time I do a practice, it's something different happens, or I realize something, or I learn something new. And then we talk about it, and we're just like, far out, like this is what life is about. Like it's about like self-discovery, self-awareness, and like bringing light to this stuff and sharing it with the world. So then we're like, how can we bring this to our people that already are with us? Like they're already following us on Instagram, Facebook, they're on our email list. We want to share this with the world. So we want to make yoga and Pilates accessible for everyone and take away all those objections that people have, like I'm too unflexible, I don't want to go to the studio, where do I park, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're making videos.
And I think it's like mainly because we realize, oh, hang on a minute, like all day, like most hours, we found ourselves talking about yoga and Pilates, and it was like, I think we need to do something with this, because like we won't shut up about Pilates or yoga. It's like every sentence, I love Pilates, I love yoga. How good was that? Did you do that? It's like, okay, like ding, 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 like let's maybe step towards that. Like that's a really massive sign that something is going right. So I think the coolest thing is, I think like when you create something online, like our community, it's like you become relatable to a big group of people, or whatever size group of people. So it's cool that we're bringing yoga and Pilates to those people in the style that we're delivering. Because we always say that, like, you know, there's so many yoga teachers, there's so many Pilates teachers online as well, there's so many programs, but no one is exactly like us. And like that's what we tell everyone at home, or like anyone who messages us saying, like, I want to start a business, but it's so saturated, blah, blah, there's so many blogs, it's too late, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's never, ever, ever too late, because no one is exactly like you, which is the coolest thing ever. So we're like, start, just do it. So it's very exciting.
So we're developing a 4-week program. That's like the first kind of thing we're doing with this yoga and Pilates inspired stuff. And we have no idea what it's going to turn into or what it's going to like look like. We've just like got this big picture, and it's all coming together slowly, and it's just one little step after the next. But it's going to be ready in March.
Whatever it is.
No, we have a name.
Oh yeah, is it going to be released, or is it in March?
Yeah,
in March. March. Yeah. Like the program. Released.
Yeah, but the name, you got the name there. Yeah.
We talk about the name.
We talk about the name. Merrybody.
Awesome. What's really cool is that when you've got that kind of passion, it's like it's not difficult in a way. Like you just know that the feeling is so right, and you're just moving towards that energy, and it's really exciting to just watch you guys. You know, even if you just get started, you know, with that passion will drive you to a place that, you know, wherever you want to be. So that's like super cool. But you know, while we're discussing yoga and Pilates, I thought I'd bring this up later, but maybe now's the right time to ask you. Like most people would ask, like, oh, what is yoga, or what is Pilates, and what is the actual difference, and which one should I do? And you guys are like using them like quite a lot, almost interchangeably. So give us a bit of info on what's the deal there.
Yeah, well, I mean, they are so different.
But then we always say, like, when paired together, it's like the most amazing workout, the most amazing mind transformation, and the most amazing way to connect to something bigger, and to not something bigger, but also then to yourself. So it's like connection to yourself, but then also realizing the bigger picture that we're all part of something else as well. So I'll start with yoga. To me, yoga is movement with the breath, and it's as simple as that. Like, it can look like anything you want it to look like. It's not a certain pose. It's not a certain way of what your body should look like. It's simply movement with breath, movement with purpose, movement with like a reason. And so for me, it's just about moving the body and stretching the body while breathing. And it's really as simple as that.
Do you know what? Like, you could pretty much say that's Pilates as well. They are, even though they look so different, like it is, because it's connecting your breath, it's connecting your movement, and you're you're doing it with intent, right? Like, you're deciding, this is what I'm here doing. I'm on this mat doing this workout, dedicating time to myself, connecting to my breath, which is then connecting to my soul, my heart, and then my mind. So everything's aligned. And you're doing it to create a positive effect and impact on your body. And not just your physical body, but your mental body and your spiritual body.
Yeah.
And blah, blah, blah.
And so, I mean, we could talk forever about yoga, and I am by no means an encyclopedia, and I have so much more to learn. But when I did my studies, like, I found it fascinating that there's so many different types of yoga, and the asana, the postures, is like, that is just touching the surface. And that's probably that's the most recent form of yoga. Whereas the most ancient form of yoga is like karma yoga, like giving without no expectation of receiving. Bhakti yoga, which is like love, devotion. Then there's tantra yoga and all that kind of stuff. So there's so much to it. But for the person who's coming to a yoga class, what they will expect is movement with breath, lots of holds, staying low in the legs for your strength kind of stuff, as well as stretching out. So stretching out the hips, stretching out the back bending, that kind of stuff. So that, like, I think when someone says, what is yoga? I would think, what would I do at a yoga studio?
But it's so funny because, like, that's what we say, like, it's all yoga, like, to everything. Because, you know, everything is yoga. Like, life is yoga. When you, like, learn about it, like, it's all yoga. Like, how it's like, we almost say it's like your religion. It's like the way you live once you start, like, going down that path.
The rabbit hole.
Yeah, and it's really fun and exciting, and it's filled with love, I think, and kindness. And it's like, of course I want to live like that.
When I started learning about the philosophy of yoga, like the teachings, I would come home and I would talk to Emmy. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like this teaching about detachment from goals and detachment from people and our stuff that surrounds us. And then I would just, like, delve deeper into that. And I was like, I can't believe there's a thing in the world that already captures how we want to live. Like, and millions of other people are doing it as well. So I think that's what yoga and Pilates is also. It's community. It's like finding like-minded people, because when you go to a studio and you delve into it and you're like, I want to live this way, then you find people who want to live that way too, and then you connect with people. And I think that is, like, that's where we've seen so much magic happen, in that we found people who think like us and that we just get to have awesome conversations and awesome coffee dates with.
It's so fun. And I guess, like, Pilates is, like, you do use equipment and things. So the type of Pilates I teach is mat Pilates. So we'll use, like, hand weights, like the magic circle thing, like, God, that thing's a killer, and ankle weights and things. So it is like, it's like to build strength as well. And so is yoga, but Pilates is more like, you know, you're doing tiny repetitive movements that really build your muscles and create lean muscles. And I like to kind of think that, you know, it's lots of core-based workout. So it's like, yes, it's building your six-pack if you want it to, but it's also building, like, that inner confidence and, like, that inner strength and that courage. And I think that's why I kind of, like, I think that's how I got drawn to it, because it's like, that's what I was missing. That's what I was lacking in my life, like that inner confidence. It disappeared. And Pilates helped that come back to me. So I think it's so cool that, you know, it's like with yoga, like, increase your flexibility and you'll probably become more flexible with life in general. Like, you'll be okay to just go with the flow more. So I think, like, our physical body really does represent our mental, the way we act.
She was like, Carla, jump in here.
This is your cue.
As our when we change our physicality, like, it ripples out into the other aspects of our life. So, like, relationships, career, family life, all that kind of stuff. Like, we've seen the transformations that have happened when we've changed our physical body, that it changes our confidence, that we show up differently because we feel different, not only on the outside, but more importantly within. And like, that's what yoga and Pilates does. Like, it connects you to yourself, and that allows you to, like, self-discover, like, look inward and figure out who you are. What is your truth? And
so
then you gain the confidence to share it out with the world, and not just, like, it doesn't have to be so many people. It could be your one person, like, sharing your truth with that one person. And isn't that what life's about? Like, figuring out who you are, and then having, like, feeling content and self-acceptance that you can be that person every minute of every day, rather than putting on a mask.
Totally.
Oh, it's epic.
You clearly love yoga and Pilates.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
was awesome.
No, it's cool. I really love I love the fact that yoga is becoming sort of like more mainstream, as in it's not like a thing for, say, only girls to do and whatnot, and it's this thing that's like super easy and blah blah, because it's, well, first of all, even if you're doing just the asanas and you're doing them properly, it's super hard. You know what I mean? It's a really tough workout. But like you said, when you start understanding the philosophy and you start understanding, say, like how important the breathing is, it makes your practice so much deeper, and you are able to explore those other parts of you that are sort of hiding away somewhere. It's really powerful.
It's so magical.
Oh my God.
I mean, well, because yoga was like only made for men.
Exactly.
In like the ancient years, like it started with men, and then women started to come and do yoga in like the 60s and the 70s, and everyone just thought, oh, yoga's just for girls. And now you go to a studio and
Everyone.
it is 80% is women, but now we're seeing so many more men come in. Like all my classes, there would be like, I think 40% men, and it's so amazing.
And like of all ages, I think that's really cool to see as well. Like there's just huge range of ages at our studio, and I mean like not like really old people. I don't want to be mean, like the old people, and like 80
Like Craig's old.
Not that old. But actually old people. And I think it's so inspiring, because isn't that the goal? Like I know, like for lots of people probably listening to this, it's like to live amazing long lives, like but healthily. Like you want to live like and be able. You want to do. You all
actually want to live,
not like
all the lives,
not be like slowly dying for 20 years or 10 years.
Yeah, so what I want to do is just live for ages,
and then boom,
the next day, like I just dropped dead. Like I don't want to suffer.
No suffering. And I think yoga. That's why we love yoga and Pilates as well, because it's this way of exercising that we can like see us doing for the rest of our lives. And I mean, like we've done CrossFit, we've done like the running, long distance running, we've done like we do hill sprints every now and again, not very often. And stair climbs, not very often. But like yoga and Pilates, you can do that forever if you look after yourself. And you like make sure you listen to your teacher and like do the good technique, or watch online, or just like actually connect to your body. Oh, that didn't feel good. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Like you're going to be able to do that forever, and that's the goal. I think
that's again why we love it so much, because low impact.
We've
heard our bodies enough.
Yeah, I think there's something really special about both of those kind of movements and activities. Is like you both said, it's your intent is quite different when you're doing something like that compared to maybe playing tennis or something like that. It's just you really can go internal, and you have to be so focused and have an intent of what you're doing, otherwise it just doesn't like work, and so like I really like the idea of those. So just to add a bit of context, guys, we met through someone I had met at the practice. Actually had said to me, oh, you should check out these two girls, they're awesome. And I was like, and it was the weirdest thing, because I actually said, before he finished, I was like, hang on, don't tell me you're talking about the MerryMakers. He's like, yes, that's the one. I'm like, I already follow them on Instagram, and they're freaking awesome. And so it was this cool, like serendipitous thing that we had mentioned. And then obviously I'd said, oh, well, I've got this new podcast that we, Gareth and I had started and what have you. And he's like, oh, you guys should definitely chat at some stage. And I was like, cool. And now here we are. So it's really cool. But, so thanks.
Yeah.
So just, people that are listening to this really like to see, get a bit of a story behind the story. So, you guys grew up in Australia and Canberra. Give us a little bit of a synopsis of your upbringing and what life was like when you guys were youngsters.
Oh, we had the best kid life, childhood. There's a word for that.
So yeah, we grew up in Canberra.
Where's my dictionary?
Oh, we lost it. So Canberra was like an. Oh my god! Kid life.
Okay, go.
Okay.
Got it. Take a breath.
So, okay.
We grew up in Canberra. So Emma's the older sister. I'm the younger sister.
Yeah, no one
Emma
knows
is
how.
so lucky when I was born into this planet because she got an instant best friend, and I was so lucky because I already had an instant best friend. So we've always been really close, and always have been best sister friends. We always say how lucky we are that we get to do this together.
Yeah.
But our childhood is like pretty like straightforward. Went to school.
Was we had a great childhood. Mum and Dad, amazing.
Always
epic humans. Epic humans.
Yeah, we always say we won the parent lottery
Always.
because like they have taught us so many lessons of like kindness, patience, work ethic,
dedication,
and just always doing our best. Like they were always the parents who were our number one supporters, always there by the side of the pool, at the tennis courts, at the netball courts, no matter what, they were there.
Yeah.
So
they're just the best.
Eternally grateful.
Yeah, and the
them.
words, sometimes it's like words can't even come out for how much love I have for them. They're just like the actual best people on this planet. But Canberra was fun to grow up in. Like everyone kind of disses Canberra, the capital of Australia, but it's an epic city, a great place to grow up. Very cold, but it was fun.
Yeah, I always think that I always say that we're lucky because it's such a safe city, and like it's very like you do feel like you're in a bubble living in Canberra, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing when you're a kid and you're growing up and everything is just fine and dandy, and that's what it was like. You'd wake up and I would feel like this day is magical and it's just made for me, and I can't wait to go to school.
I guess we were really close, and I think like early on we kind of both like started creating stuff. I think like that's a funny story to talk about. Like I mean, like you were 5, I was like 8, and we were selling like friendship bracelets. We were making cards. We were selling them at the top of our street. So it was like we were always like making things, creating things, and trying to sell them to make money.
Even though it was normally our mum and like our next door neighbor who would buy it all.
And then like
we sell out at the end.
Yeah,
like you can have it all.
We'd go around. We'd make posters and like stick them up like on like lampposts. Like we'd stick them up. Like no one would see these posters. But pretty hilarious.
We're always great at marketing.
Yeah. And then and it evolved. Like we would make glass jewelry, and then we started selling that at like Trash and Treasure on the weekend.
That actually was quite successful.
Yeah, we made some money, but like also because Mum bought all the stuff, so like we made some coin. But
Mum lost on that one.
Yeah. She probably bought a lot.
It's reinvesting in the family. It's all right.
So funny. I think, and that's the point though. Like we always did stuff together. Like like you would see other siblings, because I mean we're 2.5 years apart. You'd see other siblings and they kind of would like not be friends, but we were always friends. I mean, we have an older brother as well. We weren't as close to him. Like he kind of missed out because it was like 2 girls, 1 guy.
Yeah.
So and like we were really similar. But we had an epic childhood. And then like as we got older, I think I got you your first job working where I worked. Then we kind of like followed each other along in the job. So like we worked at the sandwich place. Then we worked at like the convention centre.
Then I moved to the government.
Then Carla moved to government in Canberra, as you do.
And then I got you the job in the government.
Yeah. So it was like we followed each other. And like we're so grateful for that government job because it sucked the lives out of us, literally. we were like, I felt every time I walked in, I was like, my soul is like, I'm losing my soul. But it was like we needed to kind of hit that bottom.
It felt so grey. That's what I always think.
Yeah,
I was like, when I think of those times, it felt like grey times. Like that there was no colour and there was no vibrancy and no life.
But that's what got us to the conversation was like, we were in the car one day and it was just like, is this it? Like, is this what our lives are going to be? Like, are we going to be like those people who are like in their 40s,
50s,
like having like, they've had the 3 kids, like they're just living their lives, like they're pretty depressed and sad every day because like it's a toxic as environment. Doing work I could care less about.
With
like
zero
I'm just
fulfillment.
like you're just turning up literally to tick your hours away, then get your pay packet. And it was just like this, like, I don't know, we just had this like moment and we were together in the car and it was just like
at a red
far
light.
out.
And we reflected on those years previous that we talked about, like the childhood years where life was magical and that you'd wake up and like, when the, like, it's just like everything is magic. You look at the world in wonder.
Yeah.
And that had gone completely. And we were like, we want that back. Like, we want to look at life like that. We want to live every day like that. And at that stage, when we were in the car, MerryMakers was just a blog. And it was just like us sharing recipes and writing our stories online. And then we're like, maybe we could do something with this. Maybe. We don't know. Yeah, we could try.
Yeah.
And that was kind of how it all began.
But it was like, we're so grateful for like those horrible days because without them we wouldn't have like had that epic motivation to be like, okay, we need to make some big changes here.
I think the cool thing
and
was
the motivation
that we were able to see our future in front of us in those people, like the people that we saw that were unhappy at like the 40, 50, 60 mark, and they were retiring, but then they would talk to us and look back on their life and be like, you know what, like I didn't really enjoy my days. And it's like, but how? Like, you're 60, like that. I don't want a bar of that. I don't want a bar of that. We have to make a change. And it's like, that's such a blessing to be able to see that your future right in front of your eyes, because then you know far out, like if I don't change, nothing is going to change.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, like how many people end up being like that. You know what I mean? They just they go into a job and they end up not enjoying it, but they kind of get stuck, and you can kind of understand like that they do get stuck because they have families and things like that, and taking the risk that you guys did is not necessarily in everyone's sort of genetic makeup, you know.
Totally. And we always say, like, there's people in the world that we always say there's two types of people. There's definitely more than two types, but there's the people in the world who question things, and they're like, is there more? Like, because I want to do something just for myself. I want to create something. And there's the people who are completely content with going to a 9-to-5 and working an admin job, creating a family and being so happy and fulfilled because that's their purpose. Like, that fulfills them. And we say yes to them because they're happy and they're content. But if they're in that life and then they're not happy and they're not content, then it's up to them to make a change. And that's where that's where I feel sad for people, because I know there are people in those jobs that aren't happy. So I think, like, we can't like put them all in the same category that everyone's unhappy in a 9-to-5, because they're not. Like, people are happy, and I have friends who are completely content with what they do, and I'm so glad for them. But I think that we owe it to ourselves to live our most amazing life possible, because this is it. Like, we get put, like, we're a freaking miracle that we're on this planet. Like, so much conspired to make me, to make you, to make each of us happen on this planet. And I think that we owe it not only to ourselves but to the universe to go and do something with that.
I think we kind of get lost in the idea that's not real, that we have this infinite time ahead of us. But when there's no time, and it's like, you know, like, we think we can wait till, like, I'm ready. I can wait till I've done this before I take this risk. But it's like, far out, like, everything could go like tomorrow. So it's like, why the hell, like, why should I wait? Like, there's no time to wait. Like, let's do the things. And you know what, if it doesn't work, I'll figure it out. And I think, like, that's what Gareth, you said, like, risk. And back then, the bigger risk was staying in that job and getting to age 50 with regret, like, being like, holy moly, my life is gone. I've dedicated my life to this thing I care nothing about. Like, that, oh my God, my heart like breaks saying that, even thinking about that. So it's just like that, didn't feel like a risk. Like, like, the money felt like a risk. Like, we had a mortgage, that felt like a risk. But it was like, but we'll figure it out. Everything will be okay. And everything has been okay. Like, there's been times where we're like, oops, run out of money. But that's okay. Then money came. But money came.
Yeah, we've always had this unwavering faith, like, from the very beginning, that we're just going to make it work. And that's because there was that, we took that risk and then we had to make it work. And so I think it was awesome that we didn't have, like, a safety net below us or a plan B. We never had a plan B. We were like,
I don't even know if we had a plan A.
I don't think we ever had a plan A. But we had a MerryMakers, and let's just take a step forward. And that's what we did. And then we just kept continuing to take little steps until, like, it would eventually it turned into something. and then it's now turned into something else, and then it turned into something else, and now it's turned into this, and we just keep following the little signs and then we can look back and be like, okay, now the plan's there, but it was never it was like in The Alchemist. Have you guys read that book?
Yeah.
Oh, is that not the best book ever? Like, how if they say, like, the plan is already written. Like, your journey is already written for you. Like, no need to worry about it because it's already written. So
unless you don't listen, you don't follow it.
Have that unwavering faith that everything will happen in time. All is coming. We just need to take action.
Yeah. I love it. You
take
guys,
those first steps.
Yeah, your energy is so cool. I love it. It's so infectious, and I can just like imagine like that just draws people like close to you. You know what I mean? Because they love that. They love that positivity. They love this outlook on life.
It doesn't draw everyone.
Oh yeah, not everybody. Yeah, some people might go, these chicks are crazy. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's what we say. We're like, we don't want to be liked by everyone, because if we're liked by everyone, then like, what's that quote? I don't know. There's a quote where it's like that you won't. The only person who won't like you is yourself, because you're always trying to change yourself for other people to fit in, and you're like, I want to be liked by that person, that person, that person. Then you're not even being yourself. So it's like, be 100% you, and you will attract the right people. Yeah. And because we are 100% ourselves, we do just attract kind, amazing humans who accept us for who we are, and we accept them for who they are.
It's funny because like, as we've kind of like, I mean, because this whole like living in truth thing, like this has come from yoga and Pilates. Like 2017, start of that year, I kind of found myself in this place where I was like, I'm so not aligned with what I actually feel inside in my heart. Like, I'm so not aligned. I'm with the wrong person. I'm doing this what am I doing? It was like this icky, like just this not okay feeling. And then I made it a priority that like every decision I make is like with this in mind, that I need to make it okay with my heart and my soul, and like it just needs to feel right, get in tune. It's like, like you hear everyone like, follow your gut, blah 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 blah. Like, I was one of those people who's like, what do you mean follow your gut? Like, what? I don't understand. I remember when we first interviewed lots of people, I always would ask, so how do you know when you're following your gut? Just so I would like learn. Remember?
Yeah, I know. We'd have that question in every interview. Like, so what does intuition mean to you? And we'd just be like, because I want to learn. How do I find my intuition? But it was such a cool thing to like, just like dedicate like so much energy to this goal. And of course, like Carla did the same, because we talk so much, so it's like we kind of like we kind of share and swap each other's goals and like focuses. So we'll be reading a book and then you'll share something, and I'll be reading a book and then I'll share something. We'll be like, oh cool, and then we learn it together.
But it's so cool to see and to notice like the different people that have come into our lives. And I mean, looking back since we started this merrymaking thing, like so many amazing magical people have just like fallen into our lives, and we're like, whoa, like you were here for such a big purpose. Like they've helped us in like this insane way. So it's just crazy, like when you're on the right path. But because of last year, I feel like we're meeting even more and more people who are just like oh yeah, this is like, you're meant to be here. Like you're meant to be telling me this right now. You're meant to be like showing me this, showing up in my life, and it's so fun, and it's just like, it's actual magical.
Wow, that's so cool. When I guess when you're super congruent, it's actually so much less work. Like just being totally congruent with your heart and yourself. It's like,
what are those? Are those tattoos of?
This is a congruent sign.
Oh no ways! That's cool.
It's like the map.
It's like really hard to show you guys.
I probably have like sweat patch too.
Oh my god! Yeah, I need 5 minutes. It's like extreme interviewing.
Extreme interview.
I'm Googling as well. Oh my god.
You can do it. You can get through this.
So I just wanted to, you go.
No, bud.
No, I just wanted to say, I've been in London for like 18 years now, and a lot of my mates are actually from Canberra, because I used to play Aussie rules football with them. And but it is random. But what I find so cool about Australians and like their upbringing is that so many of you guys, like, you go and you work in, say, McDonald's and the local sandwich shop and those sort of places, you know, like, I don't know, it's your local shopping center packing bags or whatever the story is. And I think that is something so valuable that so many kids miss out on, maybe in other countries. And it teaches you just some cool lessons, you know, just, well, first of all, it's your kind of first job. It's like, you know, that you're not going to start at the top. It gives you a bit of pocket money. How do you find like that? Have you ever thought about that, how it's kind of shaped you at all? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we always
think about that. Not
Really?
always, but
Like how we do, we've talked about it a lot, and because we both got like permission notes from our parents to get jobs earlier than what we were allowed. So I think the age is 13 and 9 months.
Such a random age.
I was 12 and I think 9 months. So I was a year early.
And I was just 13.
Yeah, and so
I remember the day, because I was pretty shy when I was 13.
You were so shy.
Super shy. Like, I didn't like talking to anyone. And I just saw this sign on the sandwich shop, like this little A4 piece of paper, like, whatever. Help wanted. And I was sitting at the table with, you were there.
Yeah, Mum was there.
Mum and Dad. And I was like, oh, maybe I should ask for a job application. And they're like, come on, Emma, go ask. And I remember I was wearing like this big hoodie. Like, I can even remember what I was wearing. And I was so nervous. And I just go up to the counter. I couldn't see over it. And I was like, excuse me, can I please have an application form for the job? They gave it to me. I like run back and I'm like filling it out straight away. And then I handed it in. And then I just remember the interview was really scary. Like, I remember that because the first boss wasn't very nice. He was kind of mean. But then he left them. I've never heard you tell that story before. I don't think I've ever told anyone that story. Probably, this is a bit of a weird. Anyway, so cool though, because then I had this job and it was so fun, and I was making like $5.90.
You made $4.95 an hour. I remember seeing your pay slips. Yeah, and when I got the same job, so Emma got me a job.
That was on Fridays, and then Saturdays it was up like $7.95, and then I think Sundays it was like
$9.95.
I think it was $10.95. I was like, yeah, $10.95.
Like, give me all the Sunday
bring on
shifts.
Sundays.
I can't believe that. But
So
I
crazy.
saved so much money. I bought my first car with that job.
Yeah,
and it taught me so much. That job taught me so much.
it's like
it taught me how to make delicious sandwiches.
Yeah, I swear we are like the best at making sandwiches. But responsibility, like having to manage our time at such a young age and be like, oh, like we need to be at work at 5 o'clock on a Friday night instead of hanging out with our friends, and like allocating that time. And it taught us drive, like, and persistence and commitment, like all of those things.
And just communicating with people, like probably these skills we all need.
With strangers,
like how to someone.
Yeah, to be like hi and have a conversation that isn't awkward.
And like creating relationships with other staff members. I mean, like, to work with different, you know, meeting people who are older, younger, like, and creating these relationships and having fun. I mean, the job was fun.
Yeah.
Like, so much fun.
I just think that played such a huge role to like start working at such a young age. Like, because we had friends who didn't get their first job until 18.
Yeah.
I know someone who didn't get their first job until 21. Like,
just,
now,
blew my mind.
Like, I was like, I've been working 10 more years more than you. Like, how is this possible? And then sometimes I would think, why did I get a job so early? It's like, now I have to work like so many years. Like, I remember thinking that in my desk job. But now I think back and I'm like, far out. Like, I'm so grateful for that, because it shaped who we are. Like, it gave us so much confidence.
Appreciate work for money. Like, you
value.
You work and then you get money. And I guess, like, now it's very different. Obviously, I kind of work for money. But, like, I don't know. And it helps you save money. Like, we save so much money.
Yeah, like life skills.
Yeah, it was cool. Like, I'm so glad we got those.
Yeah,
jobs.
me too.
Go us. We're awesome.
Yeah, go 12-year-old Carla.
Yeah.
So did this spark some kind of your food thing, or had you guys been a little bit like of a foodie family, or where did the food sort of side of you guys sort of kick in?
Well, I guess like when we were kids,
I always loved eating.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She loved food. She's like the food lover. Like she loved it a bit too much when she was a kid. She got a little bit tubby tub. But no, beautiful. We always loved food. Mum always cooked us beautiful, healthy dinners. We like to cook cakes. You really like to cook cakes. She likes to eat them.
I like to eat them too. I still like to cook cakes.
Yes, and eat them. But I guess like we were always foodies. But then it was like you were age 11. I was probably around the same age where we kind of got this really negative relationship with food, and that was kind of like food. We were always on a diet or a certain way of eating, cutting foods out, binging kind of started. For me, bulimia started. So like food had become like this like social fun thing to like this kind of like horrible thing.
It was like the enemy.
Yeah, but it also was like our best friend. So then, you know, you just it's like this horrible thing that just goes on and on and on. And that consumed us for many, many years. I mean, like you were 11.
Yeah, and then it wasn't until age 22.
Like I think about it, I'm just like I wasted so much time.
So 11 years of like dieting, of hating. Actually, there's more years of hating my body. That is for sure. It's taken me a long time to get over that. But yeah, since age 11, it started that negative relationship with the counting of calories, what goes in. Like we never even thought about nutrients or anything good about the food. It was just like, well, will this make me bigger or will this make me thinner? Like that was it. That's all we really thought about, and how many minutes we needed to spend at the gym in order to work it all off.
And then it was just like this ongoing thing. I mean, like I had bulimia, like not all the time, but I would do the weekend binging and then the purging every weekend from 17 to like 23. Like that's like, I look back at that and I didn't even think I had a problem. I didn't tell anyone about that because obviously I had a lot of shame around that. So it was just like this little secret I kept to myself. And it wasn't until we changed our way of eating to like real food. Back then it was a paleo diet. And that was because I found out I had a gluten intolerance. So like thankful for that gluten intolerance because it led me to that. But the magical thing was that it just like got rid of all this negative relationship with the food, and
it brought back the love as well, like of like cooking for the love of cooking and cooking delicious, amazing food that made us feel good. And it wasn't then we stripped away the calorie counting at the same time, because for a 12-week period, which was kind of the rock bottom or the catalyst, or like that moment, the turning point, where we'd been on this 12-week thing, 1,200 calories a day, gym in the morning, gym in the night, and that was our lives, working the government job still. And we got to our lowest weights ever as adults, both of us, but then we felt like crap, couldn't even walk 200 meters without needing to sit down.
I remember being so cold. It was in Canberra in winter, and I just remember being cold all the time.
We would go to bed at 8 p.m. because we simply couldn't stay up any longer. Because our energy, we were like ghosts. We were gaunt and we were pale, and it was lifeless.
This was before the paleo thing,
yeah.
wasn't it? Before paleo. So we weren't eating any fat, like no fats as well. So like our bodies were just like deteriorating.
And so then our periods completely stopped. We like pretty much the bodies just started to shut down.
I love it how it's like because we did everything together. So it's like really weird.
It's like both of our periods stopped.
Well, they often say they're in sync.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys like your bodies at that time? And you say you'd
No, this is the thing. Like, so we were our lowest weight, which we thought losing weight would equal happiness. Losing weight would equal yay. Like, we'll feel really good about ourselves. I remember looking in the mirror and thinking, not good enough. Like, what can I do to lose more weight? It was just like
always more. I just always like. I mean, like. Ridiculous, because I was so thin, I still wanted to lose.
And there was moments where we would go to a spin class, a 45-minute spin class, and not drink a centimeter of water because we wanted to weigh ourselves, run home, weigh ourselves, get on the scales and look at the scales and be like, I lost 0.5 of a kilo this week.
Oh
That's
my
what
God.
it was. Like, that's the kind of level of obsession this was. It was like jumping on the scales and feeling the only way we would ever get an ounce of like spark was if the number had gotten lower.
And I think the scary thing was like, this was just for life goals. Like, this wasn't for, we weren't training for anything. Like, you know, like you see like the 12-week thing for like the body sculpting, like, fair enough if people want to do that. Like, I think it's very dangerous for your health personally. But like, we were just doing this, like, just for fun. Like, just
fun.
Because we felt like we needed.
Yeah. We thought we had, we like linked our happiness.
We linked our self-worth with what we looked like, what many, many people do.
Yeah.
And we weren't good enough.
And
because
so
we didn't look like the magazines. We didn't look like people.
And so then you had a moment where you were like, stuff this, like, I need to look further. And that's when you...
Well, yeah, that was when the gluten intolerance thing came. And then I discovered paleo. And I was like, oh, you can eat these foods. Oh, this makes sense. Like, oh, then more investigating. This makes sense. Started eating that way. Energy slowly came back. Like, the mental stuff was getting better. The clarity came back. Wasn't freezing all the time. I mean, like, it took a long time for the period to come back. Like, that was like 2 years later of like nurturing and like slowing everything down, putting on weight to get it back because like we just damaged our bodies. But like, it's crazy. Like, I look back at that and I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah. And then the thing is, like, then when we started living this real food paleo way, that was awesome for like 2 years. And that's what started MerryMakers, by sharing those recipes and like connecting with other people who wanted to eat similar recipes. But then this obsession was still obviously in the back, just waiting to like creep back on in. And because we were sharing everything online, we would just took on pressure and like we created it ourselves, the pressure to be a certain way. And then the obsession started to come back in that we couldn't eat any rice, we couldn't eat any cheese, and no corn chips, never. And so like social occasions became anxiety, like just like I don't even want to go out because like the choice of looking at a menu and then having to change the entire menu is just too much. Like, I'll just stay home and recluse. And so when we realized, oh, this thing is coming back into our lives, we need to make a change and we need to make it fast. That was when we gave up the paleo label and shared that online. And that again was like the best decision we ever made. Paleo had such a huge part in our journey, but now it's just like we have like true food freedom. Like, and that again is probably only, I think, for myself in the last 8 months. True freedom from food and body image issues.
Yeah.
So from age 11
done.
to age 27,
That's amazing.
That's the truth. Like that's
So the thing is, it always comes back every now and then.
Yeah,
And that's, we
totally
always talk about that like, you know, you can find yourself in this really amazing place, but then like something will trigger something. If it's a major part of like your life, like
for that many years.
Yeah, like it just sneaks its way back in, and then it's good to have like, you know, your little toolbox of like, wait, this is not right. Like, this way of thinking is a lie. It's false. It's not true. So it's cool to be like super aware of that stuff. And we talk about it a lot because many, many people, especially women, like I'm sure men as well, but women, like we have 99.9% women who follow us. Maybe you two guys are like, so it's always women, like, you know,
With a 0.8.
we always get excited when the guys follow us. We're like,
oh
my God, man. But yeah, like it's so amazing to like, you know, we share this stuff that is just our lives and like pretty vulnerable stuff, like stuff that's like you don't really talk about it to everyone. Yeah. And then all these people come in and they're like, oh my gosh, me too. Yeah. And it's also like kind of heartbreaking and sad that so many people kind of let this control them. And what is it stopping us from doing? Like, what is this, like, this ongoing stuff, this monkey mind of food and calories and exercise and hating yourself? What's it stopping us from, like, reaching? Like, what's our potential?
I even say, like, it's the simple things. Like, you know, last summer, the summer that just passed was the best summer of my life because, like, someone would ask me to go to the beach and I would say yes. But every other past summer, it was, I'd get asked to go to the beach, hell no, I'm not putting on a bikini. What are people going to think of me? Like, no way, I'm not doing that. I don't have that confidence. I could never. And so I was saying no to life. Like, that's what I was doing by worrying about what other people thought of me, and by continually hating on myself, looking in the mirror and pointing out every single tiny flaw that I could possibly see, punishing myself. And then I had this magical summer where I started saying yes. And it's like, far out. Maybe nothing on my body even changed. Maybe it was just my mind. But who cares? Because everything changed just from, like, working on that.
I think that's such a thing. Like, you know, this, we all worry about what others think of us. And it's such a block. It's such a, like, it's literally like you put yourself in a cage. Like, I really like that saying. I say it a lot. Like, I feel like we always put ourselves in cages, but we have all the keys in our pockets to, like, let ourselves out. Like, it's us. Like, it's us holding on to all this crap. And it's like, wait a minute, like, no one has the time to think about, like, really, they're all too busy thinking about themselves, or probably worrying about what others are worrying about them. And it's like, no one's thinking about you. Like, just go and do whatever you want. Just say yes to go to the beach.
Be yes people.
Yeah.
You know what? It actually made me think of it now when you guys were discussing it. Is like that whole job thing that you were saying, that gray time of your life, and almost like being in that sort of a circle environment of needing to make money and living. And then the food thing is almost very similar in a way, because you get focused on the money in the one scenario, and then on the other one is like on the details of your food. So I think it is actually probably bigger amongst the blokes than we might think. And we might say, well, okay, maybe it's not specifically bulimia, but there was a term that I read on one of your blogs, orthorexia, and it's you know, and I think a lot of people might end up in that. If you know that it's a thing, you might say, hang on, I might do that all the time, like be obsessed with the one piece of rice, like you say, I want to be really ripped or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You might think, well, that's really healthy eating, but it can go too far as well. And then you end up having that cage, like you say, because you don't want to be social, you don't want to do all these things. And so I think there's a really important link. And so what you guys are doing with your blog and with your online stuff is really cool, because it makes it, okay, let's talk about this stuff. And it's okay. Like, it's really okay to discuss stuff. So I think it's really cool. Yeah. But I wanted to ask you guys as well. So at that stage, you're in the job, and when did you decide, okay, we're going to make the move to the Goldie? And was that part of the, like, Merrymaker sisters, like, transition, or did it coincide at all?
No, that was so. The timeline is, so Merrymaker started February 2013, just the blog, and then we were in our desk jobs until July 2014. We quit our jobs July 2014, went to New York, did an 8-week trip and spent all of our money and without the plan, and then came back to Canberra, and we were like, oh, we better think of something to do. So, and with something to make, and somehow to pay our bills, because that you have to do that as adults. So we couldn't just, like, go back home and live with mum and dad. So that's July 2014. So we stayed in Canberra.
We started going to conferences and things then, and we attended an epic conference in the Philippines, and that was really what kind of was this, like, this, I don't know, we just learned so much, because we were learning from some of the best online marketers ever. And they were all like, oh, guys, like, you reach, like, hundreds of thousands of people, but you don't have any sales funnels. You don't have this. You don't have that. You don't have this. So imagine
you don't have a business, so you're not selling anything.
But so that might be why you're not making any money. So then we're like, okay, so we need to make this. We need to make the stuff to sell. We need to learn how to sell. But then once we have that, we already have the people to sell to. They're all
screaming this stuff.
They want more. They love us. We're giving them all this free stuff. So we're content marketing without even knowing. And then it's like, boom, like, put these few, like, last little steps in order, and then you're making money. So that was, like, a really crazy, amazing thing.
then our eyes were just like, whoa.
And then we're like, why are we living in Canberra when like we work at home every day? Like this feels not quite right.
And the lifestyle just didn't match like how we wanted to feel.
Yeah.
There, like we were in suburban Canberra. Yeah. It's very concrete. There's lots of beautiful nature parks, but we never went to them.
Very good for like raising children, and we're living in this like family, like we own this house together. It's just like not a house that we should own really. No. So it's like this good house to rent that out, move up to the Gold.
I feel like I'm playing a game with Monopoly. Like I'm like, what is that? Like I don't even know.
Yeah.
I have this property.
Yeah. Pay the mortgage, get the rent.
Yeah.
It's a good asset. And anyway, we moved up to the Gold Coast because, like, why wouldn't you when you have epic beaches like that? And really, we haven't looked back. I mean, this is, like, just such an amazing city. We've met some of the most amazing people up here.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had not have moved up here, we would not have got into yoga and Pilates.
Yeah, we always say that we think that if
One
we hadn't
day.
have moved, that one day it definitely would have come into our lives because we were doing it, like, once a week back in Canberra, on and off. And we were always interested in yoga, and you did Pilates from like when you were like age 15.
Because I had back problems, and I was like, maybe I should do Pilates.
Yeah, and so we always thought
it
would
how
come back
it's
in.
always been in our lives.
Yeah, but then I think the move brought it forward in our journey.
Yeah.
Like in that map, I think it was like, oh, they've moved. Let's just bring that dot a little bit closer now. And then when we found Essence of Living and we stepped into the studio, it was like we had come home. Like it was like, oh, these people are so nice, and
like all our friends we met
at the studio.
Like, and it's like, I don't know, you just meet them. You meet the most amazing people when you're doing stuff that you are meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, you just meet like-minded people, like-minded souls, and it's just like, like instant connection, right? Like, and it's like, where else do you meet people? It's like, well, as adults, it's like at the bar or like at the social events. Like, we don't really, like, we go out with every now and again.
Like once a quarter.
For like something celebration, but like, I don't go out to bars. So it's like, where am I going to meet people? Oh, like you go do your hobbies, you go to the yoga studio. So it's just been, like, moving up here, awesome.
Was it the best decision?
It's so warm.
And it just matches,
hot.
like, the lifestyle that we wanted to live, like, in our 20s. Like, because we want to have fun. And we just want to, like, be outside and enjoy the sunshine and go to the beach.
There's no winter here.
Yeah, like, the winter last year, we were like, is this winter? Like, did it even come? Because it didn't, like, because we're used to like -6 degrees, like in Canberra in the morning, and here it's like everyone's got their big coats on, and it's
guys,
like,
it's not cold.
Guys, it's 18 degrees. Like, this is summer. Like, we don't need to freak out.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
And so sorry, we've just like kind of moved on a little bit. I just wanted to like address some of the eating side of things, the body confidence side, because there's a few things in there that are kind of worth drawing out, and one of the things you said, like, as well, is there's so many of us suffer from the same issues, yet we don't talk about it. You know what I mean? It's kind of stupid. It's like we're all suffering from it, but we're all too scared to talk about it, which is very strange in itself, the whole psychology around it. But if we can just maybe talk about, you know, say the eating disorders, like how it affected, say, your mental state. Were you girls, you know, like depressed or kind of just more subdued? How was that? And then the body confidence thing, like you know, what was the real sort of turning point for that? You know, like, I know you said your mindset did change and you just started saying yes, but was there anything else like to that? Like, is there more depth to it? Do you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, so much.
I think we addressed the first bit, the eating disorders, which, like, both disorderly eating, like total disorderly eating, just in different ways. Like, I mean, we were both really happy people. Like,
it's so weird, like, because I think back to that and I'm like, I must have been sad. I must have been, like,
but it was internal.
And
it's like what Gareth, you're saying, like, you know, I kept it all to myself. Like, I didn't talk about it because I think there is a lot of like shame could be the word. Like I would, like, you know, you hide certain things that you don't want people to know because you have shame around it. Like you don't, like I didn't want people to know that because they're going to think less of me. I was embarrassed. And I think obviously when you hide any type of thing, when you hide a big secret, like it impacts you because you are not living your truth then. Like no one knows what's going on and you're sad. Like it's sadness. So it was like all this bottled up sadness, I think, that did explode at different points in your life. But like for me, like I bottled it up. And, you know, when you bottle anything up, it manifests into something bigger than it has to be. Whereas if I just asked for help back then, like who knows? But like obviously like it's a part of my life and I'm grateful for it all, how it unfolded perfectly. But of course, like there's all these like hidden things, but it was totally hidden. Like I was very, very happy. Like no one would think that I was like hurting.
Yeah.
Like mum got the shock of the life. She was quite angry at me. She was like, I can't believe you didn't tell me. I can't believe I didn't know. Like she couldn't believe she didn't know.
Yeah.
And like, and
I didn't even know. Like when you told me we were, it was 2014 when I found out.
Well, I told Carla before,
in New York.
And she was like, what?
I could not believe it. I was like, I can't believe you did that. I was just shocked and I'd never picked up on it.
It's such a weird, it's all very weird because like I remember it was because also I started drinking and then like lots of my, because you know Australian English people too, like the world of binge drinking, like we all did that. And then like you would go out and you'd get written off and then you'd all be vomiting and then you feel better. So like that's literally how my bulimia started, that I would make myself vomit when I was drinking because like that's what people did. Like it sounds disgusting talking about it, but this is a very, very normal thing.
I used to do
like,
that.
Everyone did that.
With the
like,
drinking, but then it didn't then transfer into like normal, undrunk Carla.
Yeah, because then I was like, oh, I could do this when I was sober after eating half a pizza and ice cream, so then I don't get fat. Like, it's so ridiculous, but like, I think it's good that we talk about it, obviously, because there's still people who have this and suffer from this. These habits that hold us back from our lives.
For me, I think when you were just talking, I was like, yeah, I was like a really happy person, but now I'm looking back, that what I was hiding would then manifest into anger and aggression. Yeah. I was very aggressive.
She was angry.
I was such an angry. I was just
at me.
Just at Emma and Mum, like the people closest to me. Like I was very easily would lash out and snap. And I mean, they always say that anger is just like hidden, bottled up sadness, and it's just that I could take it out on these people because I knew that they would love me no matter what. So that's what mine was. And it was like, because I would go to school and I would put on this front of being the happy, confident person, and that's just who I was. And people, like, you look at my school reports, Carla is very enthusiastic. Carla always has a smile on her face. Carla is this. Like, I was always like that. But then deep inside, like, I just didn't love myself and I didn't really know who I truly was. And I just felt like I was putting on a show all the time. That's how I felt. I felt I was living in my own little movie and putting on a show for everybody. And then when I could be at home and then something so minuscule would happen and not be in my favor, that I would just like blow up, and that would be like where I would release my emotion. It wasn't in sadness, it was in anger. And I think that, I mean, again, that habit, that anger and lashing out really only, it got less as I got older, but yoga actually allowed me to then ravel everything. And now I'm like the very kind and don't react.
Every now and then
it comes back.
But I think
which is really annoying me.
I think she got angry at me the other day because I drank like the leftover smoothie. Like, you know when you make a smoothie and like you pour it in the glasses. There was like this.
I don't think we need to share this story.
She was like angry at me, and I was like, are you serious? She like, and like we now have this rule, like from working together. It's like, you know, we get over stuff fast, like we move on. She was angry about this like for half an hour, and I'm like, are you still pissed off about this?
I made the smoothie,
and
so
I
should have shared.
But I even said, Carla, I will make you another smoothie, but I don't want that smoothie. I want the one in. Like, oh,
that's a good technique, Carla.
I'll admit it was very childish, and it was like I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like in my head, I was like, come on, Carla, like snap out of it.
But I think you know what we figured out, which I feel like a lot of people have, that talking about your problems is so good. Like, so it's really important to find your people that you can openly discuss these. Sometimes they're minuscule, sometimes they're massive, but like whatever the size of them, they stay there and they in you. And if you leave them there, they just like hurt you,
and they turn into something else, and then they get bigger.
Yeah, but it's just so magical that as soon as you talk about it, it's like literally you open your mouth, you say what's wrong, what's like causing this unease in life, and it's like this whole weight is lifted off your shoulders. Like we have, like we're so lucky that we have each other.
Yeah, we always say a problem shared is a problem part.
Yeah,
like
but the problem literally has disappeared.
Yeah, like it just doesn't exist anymore, because often you'll say something out loud and you'll like, as you're saying it, you'll realize that it's not actually anything real anyway.
Yeah, it's like imagination.
It's like it's an imaginary thing that we just made up that I was just going over and over in my head.
Not like the bulimia.
Yeah, not that. But like when it's like a thing that you're thinking about and you're making it up and you're like, I'm worried about this, I'm anxious about that, or I'm stressed about this. And then I share it with you and you're like, Carla, like this. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. I think it's like talking. Like it's just like so
it's therapy,
important.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
good.
Find that at least one person that you could do that with, or even like journaling. Like if you don't have anyone, like journaling is magic. Like when you put it out on paper,
so healing.
And then you reread it and you're like, oh, didn't even know that was inside of me, but cool, thank you.
Yeah,
journal.
It just really works.
But moving on to your next question, Gareth, about the body image stuff and like the journey of that. I mean, far out. That has been. We talk about this all the time, like how big this has been and is still part of our journey, because we talk about it, of our experiences and the things that we did to get through it. Where do we even begin with that?
Well, I think, like, firstly, it's crazy that, like, you know, as like an 11-year-old, I don't know how old I was, like, you know, you're looking in the mirror and you're thinking, no, I'm not pretty enough. I don't look like that. I'm too fat. I'm too this. Like, it actually is, like, kind of mind-blowing. And to think now that it's probably starting even younger. Actually, it's definitely starting even younger.
Like, we know it is.
I'm pretty sure there's, like, 6-year-old girls and probably boys as well who think like this now. And it like, literally it breaks my heart, because this way of thinking just consumes you, and it just takes away all the magic. It just, like, takes the sparkle off everything. And it's just like, it's sad, and it makes me really sad. And like, that's our goal, to like help people see that, you know what, like, beauty isn't one thing. Like, beauty isn't what that person says it is. Beauty isn't what that shop sells it to be. Like, beauty is everything. We just need to choose to see it with the, you know, with the wonder and with beauty. So like, I mean,
for us, it was all about like little tiny steps.
Yeah.
And like, it started with affirmations.
Yeah.
It started with watching the documentary You Can Heal Your Life.
Yeah, but Louise
Hay. And we watched that, and at the start of that movie, it's got this girl, and she's walking through the street, and she's not saying anything, but you hear her voice and in her thoughts. Yeah. And she's like, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not good enough, I can never achieve this. And like, I mean, I just got tingles saying that.
I'm chills.
Because my mind is like, hang on a second, you can achieve it. But it's like trying to flip me around. Cancel that, universe. But you know, she's saying all these things that she can't achieve and that she's not good enough. And when I saw that opening to the film, I was just like, that's me. Like, that's me every day of my life, telling me that I'm not good enough, that I can't do that, and I need to be a certain way. I need to be different to the person I am. And that just shows that, like, I was 100% not accepting who I was, because I thought I had to be someone else, because the books that I read, the media that I watched, the movies that I saw, the Instagram people that I followed were telling me that, and I believed that. And that was my belief then, that I wasn't good enough. And so the whole journey has just been this slow progress of changing that belief system and changing it from self-hate to self-acceptance to self-love to
self-respect,
and to then celebrating everyone else, because we're all amazing and we're all so unique and so different, and that's where the magic is. And if we were all the same, that would be crap. Like, I don't want that. That's what a boring world. And so it's been little things that have all just helped us along the way, starting with affirmations of looking in the mirror and literally looking at the mirror and laughing at myself when I say I love you,
or like just
because
noticing the good stuff.
Yeah, but like that, I didn't believe it. I would do. Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. Like that's what it started with.
Yeah, and we would say like we just have to fake it and just like we're just gonna like keep doing it, like keep putting these signs up, like these positive affirmations to like reframe our thoughts, right? Because like we had so many years of this same negative thinking, this same self-hatred, that it was like just so drilled into us that it was like we really had to like dedicate the time and the effort to really change these thoughts, because you know it's difficult to change those thoughts that are just like patterned in there, whatever it's called.
And then it wasn't until, as I said, last year, so there was lots of like reading, lots of documentary watching, lots of tiny little action steps that were taken along the way that I could probably look back on and like try and figure them out, but there's too many. But it wasn't until like yoga teacher training when we started to delve into like presence and like living in the now, and like that this is the only moment that we have. And I think that learning that and living that made me realize that what am I doing, like wasting my one moment now that is only the moment that ever exists, thinking about the things that I hate about myself, and then what is that bringing into my life? Because my thoughts are creating my future. So if I've got the power to create my future right now, then let's choose a great thought. Let's choose an amazing thought, and let's choose that thought again and again and again and again.
I think I had this realization it was like one day, like I don't even know, and I just was like, holy moly, I've wasted so much time thinking these horrible thoughts about myself. I was like, imagine if I just stopped doing that. Like, what would my life be like? And it was like this, just like it was literally like boom. Like I just like decided that day, which was weird. Like I'm sure like everything else led up to that point, right? Of course it did. But like it was just like in my head, it just all like it was just all clear.
I always say the cogs all
like it all it just all was like ding 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 ding. Okay, I'm free. And as I said, like it still falls back every now and again, but it's just like amazing to actually feel that confidence and that, you know, that actual self-love. Because I know, like, I used to hear people talk about self-love and I'd be like, that's wanky. Oh my God, you guys sound like idiots.
Yeah.
And like, that's like the biggest sign of like, actually, maybe you should check in. Do you have, like, how do you feel about yourself? Because if that is bringing up some issues, if that self-love is bringing up some issues, there's probably some issues in here.
And I mean, and I'm like the perfect example in that, like when Emma went through that and I saw her transition to like self-hate to self-love, I was like, oh, why can she do it? No, I can't.
And
like,
she almost was like angry at
I was
me.
annoyed. I was annoyed that she was like further ahead, that she was feeling that way and I wasn't. And I was like annoyed, and I wished that I did love myself. Like I wanted to love myself, but I just didn't feel it. And so it just takes time and practice. And like, that's what, I mean, again, it comes back to yoga, like practice, 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 and all is coming. Like it's all going to come. It's just that we just have to keep doing the work, because if we just keep being complacent and just staying the same, even though we want to change, like, you know, it's not going to work. It's not going to change. What's that? That's a quote. Like,
isn't like complacent is like that's just like fueling the problem, even though you're not actually like making like a step forward in the negative way, but you're just sitting there letting it happen,
letting it fester. And that's how it feels like. It's like it's festering, and like it's
like that quote: if you're not part of the solution, you're the problem, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
You're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem.
Yeah. So it's like, it's like if you're not actually making a conscious effort to improve, or whatever the word you want to use, maybe like change,
grow,
then you're actually just like letting the negative stuff grow.
Yeah. And so then when
that makes sense.
I don't even know where we went with that.
That makes a lot of sense. But you know what's really, really, really strange is that why does that seem to be almost like the default for a lot of, well, most people almost, a lot of people are, start out with a negative mindset about themselves. And Gareth and I discuss this a lot as well. Like, isn't it just as easy to have a good self-image? And isn't it just as easy to be nice to other people and start from a place of caring? Like, isn't that just as easy as the opposite? But we tend to, or it seems like when you look around, like that people tend to the negative side, on average. And you think like, wow, that's kind of weird, like it takes just as much effort to be a nice person to someone else, But you guys,
we always say that. We're like, isn't being nice even easier than being mean? Like, for us it is.
I listened to a podcast the other day, the Rob Bell podcast, and it was his episode on snowflakes and seatbelts. And it was so interesting. And he talks about this exact subject of how, he's always like, I always think about how there's like 2 types of people. This is funny because I said that before. There's the people who like want to work on themselves and self-develop and go down the spiritual path and make all these positive changes. And then there's the people who just like do nothing.
It's like the awake people and the unawake people.
And they're just asleep. And then he was
sleeping.
They're just sleeping beauties. But he was just saying that maybe we need to share compassion to them. And then he was like, maybe we just need to share kindness with them instead of like questioning where they're at, and that we're all so different and we're all on the path, we're just at different levels. Yeah. And so this is very recent, a new little thought pattern for me, because I used to question it. I was like, why are people mean? Why are people like that? Like, I don't get it. And not in like a bad way. I just would question it because I was interested. But now I like to add that compassion to them and be like, okay,
it's very yoga.
That's where you're at. I'm just going to like send you kindness and compassion. And I feel better about that now instead of questioning where those other people are at. And I think that, it comes down to our focus. Like, if I just want to focus on my own self-development. And when I do that, when I allow myself to develop and learn and share more of that with the world, then people will find that on their path.
I think it's also interesting, like that whole like positive and negative person thing. Like, that's a different thing though, because I think like that actually
positively geared,
you're like born that way. I feel like there's some people who are born like kind of negative and some people who are born positive.
Like batteries, like one
I feel like they are. But then like some positive, but then they swap as well. So like some positive people can become negative through like life experience, environment, situation, whatever it might be, diet, even like all these things.
That's so true. Chemical imbalances.
Yeah, and like gut issues, like that can make you sad. Time. So it's like all these
spinal issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, it is true. Like, some people are just more happier than others naturally, and it's like insane. But the cool thing is, like, when you meet the happy people, you're like, oh my god, there's other people like me. I don't even know where I'm going yet. I'm just like noticing.
No, but that is true.
That's cool.
Also, I think like having the awareness or like the drive to find what actually brings the joy out of you, like. Because
maybe they just haven't found that thing that brings them joy.
Because like, I mean, I was probably a lot more negative when I worked in government because I just worked in a shitty job. Like, really.
And maybe you didn't even know that you were being negative.
Yeah.
Like, but now that we're more self-aware, we know, when you can catch yourself thinking certain thoughts and you're like, hang on, where did that come from? But like, that's only because we've all done the work to be self-aware and present. But if you're not present and you're not practicing
takes work as well,
then you're never going to figure that out. So maybe
I think it's like finding the stuff that brings the joy, brings the light to you. Like, who brings the light to your life? Who makes your light inside like go brighter? Like, hang out with them more. Like, what do you do that makes you light up? Do that more.
We're big believers in that 5 people thing.
Yeah,
and that, like
those
you do become like those 5 people you spend the most time with, and we're super aware of that. Like, we're like, oh. We don't know say I'm a anymore.
It's like, uh-oh. That's why we listen to Oprah so much, because like,
we hang out with Oprah. Emmy's lost it. She's like, my earphones fell out of the
When we start speaking about Oprah, Emma's like going off the charts.
I think it's like it's there's so many things that you've kind of just covered there once again, you know, which are like even worth going into a little bit, but we'll see where this part goes. There's a guy that I always thought was a real moron just because of like how arrogant he came across and stuff like that, say on social media and videos and stuff like that. His name is Phil Heath. He's like Mr. Universe. He's been it for the last 7 or 8 years. But luckily, like a few years ago, I went to a conference and he was one of the main speakers there. And he's probably one of the most amazing speakers I've ever listened to in my entire life.
Wow.
And he was completely different to the way you kind of perceived him maybe online, or his online persona, because I think he does have an online persona. But one thing that sort of stuck with me in the chat, and he just said happiness is a choice, and it takes the same amount of energy for you to be happy as it does for you to be sad, and you have the ability to make that decision every single morning of your life, right? And it's so true, and like I think about that all the time. And then it's interesting, like I was listening to this other podcast with Rich Roll this week. He was interviewing this lady. She was one of the only ladies to like drive NASCAR and which was the other one, Indy cars. And she is like this amazing chat. She's quite a hardcore lady, but like once again, she's very spiritual, and she goes quite deep into a lot of stuff because she loves her meditation and these sort of things. And she said exactly what you guys are saying about this sort of positive affirmation stuff, and how like sometimes you can wake up in the morning and you have like a negative thought, and that happens to every single person in the world, right? Yeah. And she's like, we all can just stop in that moment, and just at that moment you think something positive instead, and keep saying that something positive just for like maybe 5 times, and you'll find that there's a switch, and it switches. And it's that easy in a way to kind of change your direction of the day, which is like, it's all in our grasp. It's all in our control.
Yeah.
And
it's like having a toolbox of like things to do when you notice that negative thing. It's like as soon as you have that negative thought, like what's something you're grateful for? And it's like, boom, like the negative thought goes, because you're just thinking about, oh my gosh, like I get to breathe this amazing air. I get to drink this water. I get to hang out with Carla all the time. Like, how lucky am I?
So lucky.
It's like, because you can't be grateful and like negative at the same time. It's like, oh, cool. Yeah. But then also I think like on this happiness topic, I think it's really important that we don't go to the other side where it's like you pretend to be happy and like you cover your feelings, because that can be like a whole other thing that you another problem that you create. I think ignoring our feelings is not the right thing to do. So like when you are sad, like feel the sadness, feel the negativity, let it like feel it and let it go. And hopefully let it go fast. But sometimes it hangs around because bad stuff happens, unfortunately, to everyone. That's life. Bad stuff does happen. We all know that. And it's like, I think imperative that we do feel those feelings. And I know that I have had a past of like blocking them off. And it just causes more issues and more angst and more sadness inside that is just waiting to explode at another time. So it's like, yes, be naturally positive, but also don't ignore the negative feelings all the time. Sometimes they're just made up negative feelings.
Like, were we talking about this earlier last week on our podcast, and we were saying like what like. We weren't talking about those moments of when you actually are sad. When something bad does happen.
Like you're allowed to be sad.
Like you're allowed. But it's like the moments when you wake up and the sun is shining and the birds are chirping and it's and it's a brand new day and your body is able. It's like, why am I still sad? Why am I still negative? Why am I still angry? Why am I bored? And you can totally change that in an instant by saying, you know what, I'm going to stop that thought right there and I'm going to fill it back in with a positive one. So I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Like that works so well. And yeah, if you can't think of like a positive thought, like gratitude is like, we always say it's the game changer.
Or just like looking at the sky, isn't that like the best thing? Like we do that all the time. We're just like, oh my God, like look how big the sky is. Look at the clouds. I just think like that is like just medicine for our souls.
It's like finding, you always say it's like finding wonder in life again.
Yeah.
Like it's finding joy in like the little things.
Yeah.
It's when I make the smoothie in the morning and I sit down and I really enjoy that smoothie. And again, it comes down to presence. It's like, if we're not here in this moment right now, then where are we? We're being stressed about the past, guilty about the past, or we're anxious about the future. And then we're never anywhere because those two things don't exist. They're not real.
So we're not living.
And then when the future finally does come, then it's now. And then we're worried about the future that's going to come next.
Totally.
So it just doesn't even make sense. So I think adding on to that, Gareth, like changing your thought, but then and then taking a deep breath, because breath is your tool that we always have, and treat that inhale like it's your first and your last inhale you're ever going to have. And you treat it with so much sweetness, so much gratitude, and it's the best breath you're ever going to have. And then you just breathe it all out and boom, life's changed for that moment. And just keep doing that each and every moment.
Cool.
Yeah, that's so true. Someone actually told me this not so long ago, and they were like, they had been doing their yoga practice, and shared this with me, and they were exactly what you were saying now, Carla, is like each breath, literally, we breathe all the time, but every single time you breathe, it's like you start again. Your life just started again. And you can mentally play that game with yourself and go like, well, there we go. From that last one, that was an old one. This is a new one. Okay, off we go. But just adding to what you were saying earlier, Emma, as well, is like, you can change your thought, but it's also, like you were saying, Emma, it's not the worst thing in the world to be with that feeling as well for a moment, in my opinion, and just go like, okay, why I woke up with this feeling, all right, why? And if you actually can identify what it is, it's usually not even bad, but putting a face to the name is good. Because then you can go, okay, now I'm going to go back to some gratitude or whatever it is. Because half the time you have this general anxiety about something that's not even there. So it's good to identify.
Up.
Yeah.
And then it's like you can be vulnerable as well. So like when you share your truth, like it just feels so good.
And sometimes you label it the wrong thing. Like I remember I was really sad for a long time when I went through a breakup, and I just thought it was because I was really sad about losing that person. But then I talked to someone, and I realized it was like this deep fear of being unlovable, which is kind of like this ultimate fear for most humans, that you're not lovable. And it was like, oh, like how ridiculous is that? Like it kind of but bringing the awareness to that just lightened everything up, because I was like, wait a minute, I'm totally lovable, duh.
She's so lovable.
Yeah.
And then I remember the other one was when you were like, I really miss him.
Yeah.
And then it was actually Michelle. She was like, no, Emma, you just like being in love.
And I was like, oh. Yeah, this is true. Because it was totally
let me call you back. Okay, I'm actually just gonna call you back in 30 seconds. I quickly need to go for a wee. Okay. I'm bursting.
Me too.
Cheers. That was like the longest wee in history.
We drank a lot of water too. I've had 2 of these.
It's good. We're staying hydrated.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Healthy chat, this.
Yeah. I don't know at what point we lost you there. You were mid-sentence, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We can.
Who knows what we're talking about? I'm sure we always say that it always comes when it's supposed to come.
Yeah.
So
whatever's meant.
We'll listen back.
Yeah, exactly. So just to kind of take it forward, do you girls you live in the same house? You seem so close. You must almost share bedrooms type of thing. Have
not.
Bunk beds or
no. Well, we do have separate bedrooms for activities with bunk beds. No.
Yeah, this is Carla's room. My room is over there.
Yeah.
We are really close though.
Yeah, we're very lucky. We spend lots of time together, but we also we're very aware that like there's the sister relationship and then there's the business partnership.
Yeah.
And that they're different and we have to nurture both of them. So we have like we're the same person obviously in both, but we like to do sister things, like where we just go on sister dates
and not talk about business
and try really hard not to talk about.
And also then it's like you have to be really conscious that you need your alone time, and obviously you have other different friends and like boys and whatever. Like obviously there's lives separate to just but I think like we are very, very lucky. And
the pros, there's no cons. Like it's all pros. So it's amazing.
We know that not every sibling relationship is like this. So it's like just like
got to embrace it for what it is. It's like,
it's
we're so lucky that we get we always have like a friend no matter what.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, she's always there for me. If I need her, she'll be there, and same for me.
And it's like it's like you know that. Like it's so nice to have that person. And I hope everyone has that person, and whatever they are, sister, brother, partner, wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like I think we all need that support. So yeah, it's bloody epic. But no, we do not share that. But sometimes I'll come like do some, like Carla might be like making a playlist on her bed, and I'll be like, I'm gonna come make my playlist on this bed.
Yeah, like we hang out in each other's bedrooms. It's like when you're kids and you play. You want to play in my
room? That's awesome.
So funny.
So we're obviously a little bit conscious and aware of time. You guys, we've had a great chat with you guys so far, but obviously want to hear a little bit more about, the Merrymaker sisters and what you're busy with currently. You've touched on some of it, and tell us some of the exciting stuff that you're busy with and are looking to do more of in the future.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because the past 6 months, we have really been sitting in this space of space.
Nothingness.
So nothingness. We are the kind of people who were always taking action, always work. We've got to keep moving forward.
It was like if we weren't working, we were failing.
Yeah, and so
it was like whatever it is, we just need to do keeping on doing.
And then we got some amazing advice from, I think it was Bronnie. Was it
Bridget?
Oh, Bronnie and Bridget.
Yeah.
And Phoebe. And they just both mentioned space, that we need to create space and that we need to stop for a second and actually figure out, what do we want to create with Merrymakers? What is it that lights us up? What do we want to share next? And it took us probably a good month to actually stop everything that we were doing, because we were so afraid of not doing anything.
But do you remember how I remember having this conversation where it was like, we're going to do this space thing, like let's make space. And then like 2 weeks later, we were like, we've been so busy. Like we've just piled our calendar. Like our calendar was chock-a-block. And we're like, okay, we really failed at this space thing. Like, let's actually do it. And I think we'd also come to a point in business where we're just like, we're not enjoying it, as you said. And it was like, we need to actually stop so we can find what we want to do with it. Or we're going to just lose all love for it and it's just going to actually die.
Yeah, and we always say, like, what success to us is when we look back on our day and we've had fun and it's been filled with love and joy. So I think because that wasn't there anymore, we were like, no, we want to find this. And it just comes back to that unwavering faith that we were like, please, like, send us the next idea.
Like we literally, like I remember this day we were at the beach. We were at the beach, right?
We were crazy humans.
Like, we were like, we just need to ask for help, and like we went into the ocean and we're like, help us! Like what are we doing?
Yeah, we're like, we surrender.
Like, give us, like, what do we like? Give us a sign. And then it all like started to like just slowly come together. I mean, as you like the yoga and Pilates, like that's the direction.
So
Merry Body, that's the direction.
The big thing that we're working on at the moment is our first Merry Body 4-week program, which is going to be all yoga and Pilates inspired workouts, but intertwined with that, like the core mission, like for us, like our mission for those 4 weeks is to help all of the people going through that program take their self-hate to a step towards self-love. That's what it started with. Merrybody started with that, but we were like, what's the actual stepping stone? Because you can't just like have a program where you're like, turn your self-hate to self-love, because people will be like, huh? It's like, well, for us, the stepping stone, the big stepping stone was yoga and Pilates. And we're like, well, that just makes sense, because all we can do is talk about yoga and Pilates. So we're working on that. And then, of course, we have our app, which is continuing to grow and continuing to evolve. And that's all recipes that we create and that we build. And we absolutely love the app.
Yeah, we still love the cooking. We love the recipes. It's like, that's not going anywhere. No. And that'll be part of the Merrybody program too. Like, we'll share foodie stuff in there as well, because, you know, it is a holistic approach, this whole like healthy lifestyle thing. But the app is so much fun now, and because now it's like we only do a few recipes a week. Like, we share 2 recipes a week. Yeah. So it's fun. Like, at some point we were creating like 30 recipes
in 2 days.
And that is not, that's not fun.
And like that kind of thing is just like batching to the next degree, and it would and then it would turn into something that wasn't enjoyable. So now we've like we curated the business so it's like only enjoyable stuff.
Well, our goal is, I mean, like, we'd met many people as well along this journey who had created businesses, taken the risk, whatever the risk, but they'd created businesses that they ended up hating, that actually didn't bring joy to themselves. And it was like, oh, we do not want that. Like, that's not, we can't have that.
And we took all those people as lessons. Like, we were like, oh, okay, that they don't like their business. We never want that. So as soon as any ounce of like that, like angst or dislike for a certain job or a certain
uneasiness,
thing, we were like really aware of that. And we're like, hang on a second, like, what is that feeling? Is it just like laziness, like that we just like procrastinating? Or like, do we actually not enjoy this anymore? Is this not sitting right? And so then we'll just change. We just like be like, okay, like we sat in the space of change, of doing nothing. But like previously we'd just literally change the direction. We'd be like, okay, we don't want to do that anymore. We'll do this.
And then I guess the other part that we're loving right now is, I don't know if you guys can tell, but we do like to talk. So we have our podcast. And that's so fun. Like, pretty much it's just me and Carla who talk. Yeah. And we talk about the stuff we talk about. Like, you know, it's
just like conversations that we would have at coffee. And we like, sometimes we'll have a conversation at coffee and we're like, that was a podcast.
So why didn't we record that?
Yeah, why didn't we freaking record that?
And it's just like normal stuff, right? Like conversations like this. And it's just like, you know, like unpacking weird, crazy thoughts that you might be having.
And you guys know it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
that's how I do
it. Especially with people like you two.
Oh, thank you.
That's actually how our podcast started. Is Craig and I, we like always used to have these conversations, and one day we were in a bar in Madrid, and we were just having one of those cool conversations, and we're like, we should record this because so many people have these type of conversations as well, and they could relate to it. And then we were like, oh, one day we'll do a podcast. And that was it. 2 years later, it happened. Yeah, it's crazy.
So cool.
I love it. I mean, how amazing is that? That, like, we have the technology just, like, at our fingertips. Yeah. We have, like...
Yeah, we're so lucky.
The tutorial, like, just Google like how to make a podcast. Like, boom, done.
Exactly.
It's pretty much like how we live life. We Google our way through it.
Like, that's our business. Like, we can, like, thank Google.
Yeah, totally.
yeah, absolutely. Cool. So, look, it's kind of late where you guys are now. It's Sunday night as well. And just, you know, just before we finish it off, you've touched on a couple of places where people can find you. Is there anywhere else that's specific is the best place or better? Or do you just want to mention, like, what your handles are and stuff like that on social media?
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you for the opportunity to share. The best place to find all of our stuff is getmerry.com. So GETMERRY.com. You'll find all of our recipes, our podcasts, and all of our Merrybody program stuff on there, as well as links to our social media on Instagram and Facebook. And yeah, we'd love to see you there.
Cool. That's
for sure.
Where are you most active on? Sorry, Craig.
Sorry, bud.
Where are you most active on?
Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Yeah.
And
we love doing the Instagram stories.
Yeah, we love stories. It's fun.
Yeah. They're really fun.
Otherwise, when we do, that's probably what we focus on with social media, and then the blogging, of course, which is on the on the site.
Cool stuff.
Cool, man. Yeah, well, thank you so much, guys. It's been really, really great, and like we really appreciate your time on a Sunday over. And but honestly, this is most certainly going to be brightening up a lot of people's lives, including ours. So thank you once again, and I look forward to meeting you guys in the flesh at some stage.
I know. Yeah, totally. We make it happen. Have coffee.
For sure.
Cool. Thank you so much for having us. It's been such a pleasure.
So much fun.
No, that's so cool. So just from my side, I also want to just say like a massive thank you. You've been like a massive breath of fresh air, and it's so nice to see two people laughing, smiling, being happy in each other's company, and just being there for each other, your whole life. There's such an importance of community and having people that are close to us that we can bounce ideas off and share our thoughts with and things like that. And thanks also for sharing your story so openly and honestly. I think if people sit down and they either listen to or they watch this chat, they'll pick up so much, you know what I mean? It's because you have been so honest and you've spoken about so many things that people can relate to that they might not necessarily have somebody else to talk to about. So that's really, really important. And we wish you all the best. It's been super fun. And I'm certainly buzzing and motivated and inspired now. So pumped. Woo!
Super pumped.
Yeah, super pumped. Exactly. And I hope you have an awesome sleep tonight and a great start to the week.
Thank you so much for your kind words. They make us feel like so warm and just like loved. So it means a lot.
No worries. Cool. Thanks a lot.
Cool, guys.
That was cool.
All right. That was awesome, guys.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
You.